1. So I own a small business, a bakery, and last year I was approached by an influencer who wanted to collab. She is the wife of a local music artist in our city, but I have worked with someone who was in connection with him, so I felt comfortable with collaborating with her. The deal was that I would supply her with goods for her events, and she would post pics, tag me, and refer me to her followers. The first time we collaborated, everything went okay. I sent her 2 boxes of my signature cookies, and she posted a 5 to 6 second video on her Insta story, a picture as well as a mention. I gained a few followers after that, and with me being young and naive, I thought it was great. Well, during our second collab, she requested times 20 cookies and times 20 cupcakes for an event. I was fully booked and told her I wouldn't have time. She begged and said it was her mother's birthday and she needed me to make those things for her. I told her I wouldn't be able to make that many items for free, but I could do times 12 of each. She begged a few more times, so I got fed up and agreed. Huge mistake. I ended up getting no sleep trying to squeeze in her order. Then, later in the day, there was an issue with collecting, so she asked if I could deliver it to her. At this point I was annoyed, and I wasn't going to deliver it to her for free, especially since it was quite far from me. So I told her she could send an Uber to pick it up. Then there was an issue with that because 1, she didn't have the Uber app, 2, she didn't want to pay for the Uber, 3, Uber's services were offline. After a few back and forths, she eventually got someone to collect the order for her in the night. She was happy and assured me she would take pics and post them on her page and mention me. The next few days I didn't hear from her or get any pictures posted online. I contacted her and she said she was waiting on her photographer to send her the pictures. Fine. A week later I messaged her again, and she gave me the same excuse and then sent pictures of the items to me. It was awful pictures and she didn't post them anywhere. After almost a month, I told her that she needed to fulfill her side of the collaboration, and that almost a month of waiting was unacceptable, and that if she doesn't post anything in the next few days, I would have to charge her for the order. She got back to me and apologized and told me she would pay me if her photographer didn't get back to her. I waited again. By the end of the week, I sent her an invoice and requested payment. No reply. She just ghosted me from then on. I was super pissed as I basically gave her free items and she only benefited from it. Some people were telling me to take it to small claims court, but it wasn't worth it, as I might have to end up paying more than what her order cost. Other people were telling me to name and shame her online, but it might backfire and give my business a bad name. She hasn't messaged me since, but after a while, her sister got my contact and started supporting me by ordering and paying. It's been several months and I still feel pissy over it. Never collab with influencers. 2. Today I had the misfortune of meeting a choosing beggar from Facebook Marketplace to sell a $10 computer part. This isn't a rare or unique item, and my listing price was a pretty good deal. When we were chatting online, the villain in our story didn't try to negotiate, said he needed it ASAP, and would pay over Venmo, and agreed to meet me at a local Starbucks on short notice. The guy shows up and asks to look at the item. First thing I notice about him is that he's a pretty big guy. I'm 6'4" and he made me look small. As he's inspecting it, he overshares about his life and why he needs the item. Whatever, I'll listen to a short rambling if it means I'll make a sale. He eventually sends me the Venmo payment and starts walking away. I check my phone and see he only sends me $8, so I stop him and tell him he's $2 short. Immediately he's like, it was $10? And begins scrolling through our chat history, where he obviously finds nothing since he didn't negotiate. Then he checks my listing, where he sees it's up for $10. Then he makes this obviously scripted face, as if a revelation came to him, and he says, you know what happened? I was talking to some other guy who had it up for $8 and I mixed up the conversations. I'm like, okay, so you can send the $2. He starts saying how it was an honest mistake and it's totally on him. I start to think, at least he's owning up to it. Now if he could just pay me. until this gem leaves his mouth.
Since I own my mistake, why don't you just take the $8 and we can call it a day?
I tell him no, the item is up for 10, not 8. He then says,
well, you see, I pre-added the money to my Venmo before I got here. I don't have any more money.
Since that's not quite how Venmo works. You can pre-add money, but you don't have to since it can pull straight from your bank as well. I'm like, so you can't just add $2 from your bank to your Venmo. He says no. Getting annoyed with the situation, I say, look, I'll send you back the $8 and I'll be on my way, no sale. He stammers and quickly blurts out,
well, I have some change in my car.
Is it $2? He says no. At this point, I'm over this interaction, so I say, okay, we're done here. He replies,
look, I drove over 30 minutes to get here. Don't tell me I came all the way out here for nothing.
I give him a blank stare and he continues,
how old are you?
Being unsure how that's relevant. I inflate my age by a few years in case he's trying to collect info for social engineering or something. He then goes,
let me give you some advice because I'm older than you. I made an honest mistake and I owned up to it. At the end of the day, $2 isn't much. It's not worth it over being an honest person.
Halfway through, I had to interrupt his bullshit advice and he aggressively stops me and says,
wait, let me finish.
When he finally shuts his mouth, I say, let me give you some advice. It's not about the money, it's about the principle. You show up $2 short. You could say it's only $2. If I'm selling something for $500 and you show up with $200, you can't say it's no big deal. I don't care what the value is. A deal is a deal. He looks at me silently for a long time. At that moment, I realize I'm in an empty Starbucks with a stranger twice my size. Ready to get the hell out of there, I say, so either you magically come up with $2 or we're done here. Instantly, he Venmos me the $2, takes the item, and walks away upset without saying anything. I shout after him, enjoy, because fuck you, you cheap motherfucker. I think I'm done with Facebook Marketplace now. 3. For some background, I'm a kind of introverted Asian guy, with only a handful of friends in real life. I prefer to stay at home and play video games like Rocket League or Apex Legends, rather than going out and socializing. One day I met this dude, CB, in a random Rocket League match lobby, and we did great. He invited me to party up. But I feel I play better with randoms without the pressure to perform than in a pre-made lobby, so I didn't join. A couple matches later, we meet again in a different match, and he invited me again, and for some reason, I decided to party up in the moment. We played a couple of games and talked for a bit while playing. He invited me again the next day, and it went on for a while. It was going great. I was kinda happy that I made a new friend. He was from a different country than mine, and he had a family with 2 kids. Every once in a while, he used to tell me about his work and how difficult it was managing his family expenses where he stayed. I usually told him to maybe shift to a different area or get a better job. Fast forward a couple of months later, he FaceTimed me in the middle of the night, never before. Mind that our time zones were different as we were from different countries, and asked me if I could get a couple of $100 loan from me, as he was moving to a different state and was falling short of said amount. I didn't have much money at the time, as I just paid my rent and electricity bills the day earlier, plus a couple of $100 is still a good amount for me. I told him so, and he got really upset, said he really needed it, and it was my idea that he moved states and how he has already committed all his money into it and can't go back. All he needs is a couple of $100. I said I needed to think about this, it was really late and I needed to get up early the next day. He kept texting the whole night, saying things to me like how I fucked him up. Woke up the next day, and although I didn't like his response, I thought to myself, how would I feel if I was in his shoes and I sent him around $120 without saying anything or replying to his texts? I don't regret it, but probably the biggest mistake of my recent past. He didn't talk to me for a couple of months, and I was still really hurt. I didn't know what I did wrong. I suggested him to move to a cheaper place for his own good, and helped him out. Around a week ago, his wife texts me out of nowhere again, never before, and says how me and him need to patch up, and I'm the only friend he could count on. I thought he realized his mistake, and we hopped on for the first Rocket League session in a long time. His wife was also playing on the split screen. Never played with her before, but okay. A couple of games in, CB's silent the whole time while she drops the bomb on me. So I think y'all should meet in real life. Okay. The silent CB now starts talking all of a sudden.
Yeah, dude. I think we totally should. Matter of fact, I was just telling my wife that we should visit your country. You know, we could meet up. You could show me the places you think are cool, and we could get to know your culture and all. Unless you have a problem with that.
I mean, wow, that's kinda sudden. I'm kinda getting the hint that he wanted to talk to me because of the trip he planned, not the other way around. But okay, I thought I would make an excuse later or whatever. I kinda half-heartedly agree, and we finished the game session. Not even a day later, his wife texts me again. Hey, there's a problem. We're kinda on a budget right now, but since we've already decided to come visit you, do you think that we could split some of our expenses? We could crash at your place too, for the time while y'all kiss and make up. Holy shit, I was right. I was lost for words. Not only because I didn't want to deny it this time, but because of how they were trying to already exploit my broadcast without shame, I should add. I was already hurt, but not too surprised. I replied to her with 2 words. No thanks. To which CB texts out of nowhere from his account and tells me how full of it I was and that I had no life. I lived in a third world country and was probably gay. He proceeds to accuse me of shit-talking to his wife. Mind you, I literally said 2 words. No thanks. And says he's gonna block me everywhere. Like I care anymore. And I'm gonna lose a good friend in him. But he proceeds to not block me and insult me some more instead. I then went on to block both him and his wife on Messenger. Today I woke up with a "hey" from him on WhatsApp. This is a good example of why I don't make friends. 4. I work part-time in a thrift store, mostly for fun and idealism's sake. I'm in charge of the book section and I really enjoy sorting books, helping customers find something to their liking, etc. This town hasn't had a proper bookstore in decades, but our book section is thriving and is currently set up to function as much as a proper bookstore as possible. Our prices are low, most novels being 50 cents to $1.50. Some customers use us as an alternative to the very limited selection of the local library. They'll buy books, read them, and donate them back 2 or 3 months later. Not everyone thinks we're affordable, though. There's this one customer that comes in regularly, just to whine about the pricing. The most recent incident. Customer comes in with her husband, who might as well not be there. They're new to the book section, and because our selection can be a little overwhelming, I step up. Good afternoon, is there anything I can help you with? We need books for men. What would you like these men to read? Any genres or topics in particular?
Something war-related,
says he.
You shouldn't be reading those.
Me ignoring her and looking at her husband. Wow, we have plenty of novels that fit the bill. We have this bin of thrillers from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and many of those are about war or espionage. We also have various literary classics on the regular shelves.
So, the books in the bin cost 70, 80, or 90 cents?
No, they're books from the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, Cold War and right after. Most of them are popular by authors such as Clive Cussler, Tom Clancy, and Alistair MacLeod. The price of the books depends on their age, state, and popularity, but they're all between 50 cents and $1.50.
Fine, we'll look in the bin.
The husband proceeds to choose Tom Clancy's The Hunt for Red October and an older work by Clive Cussler, both hardcovers in very good condition. They're $1.50 each.
These books are $1.50 each. That's not right. 2 books for $3? That's basically 10. I'm not paying 10 for 2 books. We're not stupid. We do the calculations. You're too expensive.
Ma'am, it's 2023. Everyone is trying to deal with the massive inflation. The shop's utility bills have also more than doubled in the past 12 months. We have to cover that somehow and still have money left over to fund our charity projects. I assure you that our books are priced very competitively. You pay the same, if not more, at other thrift shops in the area.
You're wrong. We're not buying. Put them back,
she says to her husband. What I wanted to say was, all right, I've only been to 7 out of the 8 thrift stores in the area, so I can't know 100% sure that the last one is cheaper. But at least I actually understand how inflation works. What I did say... All right, goodbye then. Joke's on her, by the way, we give away books all the time. Kid comes in, browses the books, while Mom takes an eternity to look at the teacups. Kid gets a free book. Nice elderly lady isn't sure what to choose because all her favorite authors have been dead for decades, and she's not sure what non-dead authors suit her tastes. We'll throw in a carefully chosen book or two so she might discover a new favorite author for free. Toddler simply exists near the book section. Toddler gets free book. Heck, one of our charity projects is providing books for school libraries. Unless you're a nasty person, you're eligible for a free book. And for those who are baffled, she's calculating inflation in the wrong direction. For instance, 3 would have been roughly 175 in the year 2000. Instead of subtracting the inflation to compare for the price of what it would have been years ago, she's taking the current price, adding the inflation for the last years on top of that, and then being offended by the result. I tried to calculate how far back she went with her inflation calculations, but it's difficult, because she also seems to be throwing in some faulty, local currency to euro, calculations in there. Example, back in 2002, 1 euro was basically 2 Deutschmark. At some point, the Deutschmark price was dropped from the tags, but many people still calculated back to Deutschmarks for another year or two to see if and how prices had risen. So 3 euros equals 6 Deutschmarks. Adjust that for inflation in the wrong direction, and it'd be more than 6. Hard to keep track of nowadays, so in her mind she was paying 10 Deutschmarks for 2 used hardcover books in good condition, which in her mind was way too much. For comparison, in the early 2000s, 10 Deutschmarks could buy you a very cheaply printed manga pocket new. Regular new books, especially hardcovers, typically cost 3 to 4 times that much. Those 2 books new would have been like 60 Deutschmarks on a good day. Of course, she wanted to calculate to compare prices of those back in 2000. She should have calculated in the other direction. 3 is actually basically 350. Adjusted for inflation, the fictional 2000 price is roughly 175. 175 times 2 equals 350. Old bitch was doing everything in her power to avoid paying 350. 5. New client request came in.
Hi, I am looking for an engineer to immediately do the following edits in a week or less, as time is of the essence. If you are able to meet the deadline, I will continue to hire you ongoing. This is the dream job for the right person. Once I hear back from you, I will send you the notes and site URL. Then please price out each task and tell me when you can have it completed by. I will send payment once the task is completed and upload it to my site with no errors. We can divide it into payment after each task or after a few tasks, however you want to do it. But I won't pay up front or by the hour because I have no idea how well or fast you work. That's why the only thing that makes sense is to pay you once you've completed the task, or after a few tasks. That way you are motivated to finish quickly and to be paid quickly.
My response. Hello. You didn't actually send a list of edits or a URL. We don't do work without 50% up front, and we don't deploy to customers' sites unless payment is made in full. We do, however, demo our work once is complete for sign-off. Thanks. Flag starts waving more red.
Nope, no sale, like I said. You will create a demo of my site. Price out each task to do, and then I pay you via PayPal or Payoneer after the task is completed and transferred. You are off your rocker if you think I would consider sending payment ahead of time. I have been scammed before, and most engineers talk a big game and don't know what the hell they're doing. So no, you will work task by task and earn my trust, or miss out on working for the next Jeff Bezos. Whoever works for me for 6 months gets a chance to earn equity, so if you don't want a chance to own a piece of the next Amazon, then you should get your head checked. I also asked you to agree to my terms, and then I would send a list and cite, so you're not even following instructions well. At the end of the day, I'm the boss, and you're lucky to even have this opportunity. You make me happy, it changes your whole life, and you make millions. You don't make me happy? I give the opportunity to someone else, and you watch them live the good life that you could have had while you continue to chase these little $500 to $1,000 jobs. Opportunities like these don't come around every day. I'm looking for someone who can follow directions, be a self-starter, is an expert, works fast, isn't intimidated by a woman, and doesn't talk back. My proposal is more than fair. Example, if one edit is $100, you do the edits on the demo site once it's done and you transfer it so I know it's in my possession and working correctly. Then I pay you the $100 and we go on to the next edit. If you aren't okay with that, then something is up. I'm not going to pay you half up front when you could just take the money and disappear or put me on the back burner and put another client ahead of me. No, I expect you to work 8 to 12 hours a day on this until it's finished. If you can handle that and do a good job, then I will let you build the other side too. I'm also raising $1 million from a $3.4 billion hedge fund, so there will be a sweet bonus for whoever makes me happy and a free vacation. I then replied, stating, "Then it's no sale for us. You're absolutely mad if you think talented developers are going to work for free or be talked to rudely. But I guess that's why you're still trying to find a developer." And then, red flags to infinity, "Ha! Stay an employee, trading your time for money for the rest of your life, dumbass. You will work for money until the day you die, sweetheart. The person who makes me happy will eventually make money in their sleep and become rich. Your loss."
Hey everybody, Hellraiser here, and thank you very much for listening to Choosing Beggars, or whatever I end up calling this, I haven't decided yet, number 1. Might have a different title, who knows. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I don't really talk about this much, and I'm not going to name names, but those that need to know. Regarding story number 3, and 100% never give that kind of money to somebody you've met online. Because I made that mistake once. This person, I wouldn't really call them a friend, but they were friendly. To be honest with you, they were more of a problem in the community than anything else, and they were a part of this community. And I get a voice chat request from them one day, and they're in tears, begging me for money because they've got some bill for the car tires that was due, and it came to the sum of $500. This is a time when I can't really afford to be giving somebody $500. But what am I going to do? They're in tears. They're crying. They're obviously desperate. Apparently they couldn't ask their family that they live with for the money, but okay. In the family business that they also work in, apparently they didn't have that money to give them. So I made it very clear that the money had to be paid back. I think I gave them like a year maximum to pay it back within. And shockingly, they didn't. There's a lot of other things I could say about this person, but I don't want to identify them. And they made one payment. What it is, they made one payment of $50, but they did it during a stream. Now, the money was sent to them through PayPal. The money should have been returned through PayPal. But they did it during a stream. So I then had to explain to them that I'm sure they enjoyed the ego boost of making a large donation during a stream, that $50 they donated, I only get a percentage of that. I don't get the whole thing, right? I think I get about, I think it would have been 70%. I think when it's super chats, YouTube takes about 30%, I believe. It's higher with ad revenue. They take about 45% currently. So he still owed me $465, obviously deducting the $35 that I would receive from that payment. And I kept this all very secret and under wraps for a while until it was getting very obvious that I wasn't going to get paid back. And I did confide in some friends, my moderators and that, and they were all quite frankly disgusted and horrified at the way this person acted. And it became obvious the longer time went on that it wasn't coming back. I sent them a message just reminding them they still owed me the money. And ultimately, what happened was this person had acted somewhat poorly in my community in the subsequent time, and I'd had to limit their reach within the community. And ultimately, I came to the conclusion very recently that, you know what, fuck the money. I'm just going to ban them. So they've been banned. They're not allowed onto the Discord server. They will be muted if I see them making comments here. Not that they ever did much. And good riddance, because many people had complaints about them over the years. They thought they were more than they were. They even claimed when I sent them the money via PayPal that, that wasn't the real name. That's totally the name they made up, that just so they could use PayPal, which I didn't buy because I also have Google, and I did have an address for them because I previously sent them some snacks. Like British kind of snacks just to sample. And the address I sent them to, the last name on that matches up with the last name on their PayPal account. So, yeah, some people think they're so slick. Little neckbeard. Anyway, that was a relief to finally be able to ban them and move on for it. So I guess what I'm saying is learn my lesson. If you're going to give money to people, just give it to them. If you see a friend in trouble, by all means, I think it's a good thing to reach out to a friend and say, hey, look, I know you're having some difficulties. I want to give you this. And you're just giving it to them. Don't expect it back. That's a good thing to do. But if a little snot contacts you, asking you for an exorbitant amount of money, and say no and don't feel bad about it, because quite frankly, they shouldn't be putting that burden on you. I think we're gonna skip the question today, but feel free to share your own stories of moochers who have tried to get money off you in the comments. And with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. And in these very difficult, increasingly difficult times, please take very good care of yourselves.